Hey, so we're back again with tutorials. Anyways, so this is what a lot of people seem to be doing wrong. Again, there's no wrong or right in art, but there are ways to improve on certain things. So a lot of people can use a multiply layer, just put it on, and then just use an add layer. And there's nothing wrong with this exactly, but then they use an airbrush and they just put it on. So you see that alone, of course clip it, that alone, it doesn't look bad, but we can make it better. Better, we can make it better. It can work out. So once again, just a little disclaimer here, there is no right or wrong way to edit. Just because you edit in the example that I showed not to do doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. I'm just doing that for views and clickbait because I know that my version is better than yours, but that's okay. It's okay. Sorry, I have a big ego. It's to defend my tiny shriveling self-esteem. Anyways, so I'm just increasing the max thickness on the brush so I can have a nice thick brush. So for deciding a shadow color on the character, what I like to do is I like to collect and I like to use the middle color. Like you see the brightest color in the background, then you see the darkest color in the background. I like to use what's in the middle, and usually it looks pretty good. So then you can also get an airbrush and you can select other colors that are in the background and you can airbrush it on. This can help things look a little more detailed by having your character have a shadow that's different colors. It could also help it blend in the background a little more. You can adjust the opacity if you want to a little bit, but for me, I don't find it necessary. Keep in mind, everything's clipped. A new layer, that's on add, and I like to use dip pen soft. I didn't edit any of these brushes. So, selecting color in the background, you see it's way too bright. So what I like to do is sometimes I like to just select a color and then lower its brightness if I'm using add. But what I found recently was that using overlays can actually be better. So just select your bright color in the background and then just go with dip pen soft. The reason why I'm using dip pen soft is because it does create a solid shadow, but it's a little bit faded and it's a little bit soft. So it's a little better than using something that would like be really harsh, such as dip pen hard, for example. Anyways, now we're just aligning the character right where there should be lighting. I know that for some people that this can be a little bit difficult to find out where to put your lighting, but that is something that just comes with a little bit of experience and knowledge on how 3D forms work. If you have a hard time figuring out how 3D forms work, you can use references, you could use 3D models to understand, or you could wing it, or you could just use my art as an example. I don't care if you make an absolute replica of my art or my edit with your character. I really don't mind. Makes me happy. That's my chair, by the way. You see that? That is my chair. That's not me. Okay, it's my chair. Anyways, moving on. So, just carefully align things. There's no rush to do any of this. Just be it very careful and low-key. And hey, I'm using Ibispaint again. Are you all proud of me? You should be. You really, really should be. Anyways, so you see it gives her a nice, cute 3D effect. And as I said before, if you don't know where to put the lighting, use references or do studies on how 3D forms work with light and such. Alright? You can even reference a lot of my artworks if you want. I seriously don't mind. Anyways, so we can make another layer, but before that, we are going to blur the eyes a little bit. You don't need to do this, but I want to do this because I like a softer look on the eyes. I feel like it helps her not look like she's piercing into my soul and wanting to murder me in my sleep. Another reason could also be because she doesn't have enough eye highlights. If your character looks psychotic, give them eye highlights. You're welcome. Anyways, I just like to use the blur to soften things up a little bit. It doesn't have to be too intense, and please make sure not to blur it too much. I see some people that blur their stuff a lot to the point where everything looks like a gradient, where it looks like their eye is melting into their eye, which is melting into their face. You don't need to do that. You really, really don't. Anyways, so I'm just selecting the color, and I'm getting an even brighter color, which I like to use yellow, particularly on this one piece. And I'm just adding a little bit of design there on the eye. This will make it look like I actually put effort into it, which I didn't, because effort, why do we need that in this community when you could just be as cheap as me? Just kidding. There's a lot of people that put a lot of effort in their work, and I do too. Anyways, so creating a new layer, putting on clipping, and putting it on add. Then we're gonna get a nice warm color, and we're gonna use an airbrush. And then we're just gonna airbrush the edges of the character, just so that I can give them a bit of a glow. Alright, so right where I put all the lighting, I'm also gonna put a little bit of a glow there. That way, it actually looks like there's lighting. You see, it looked good even without it, but with it, it improves it. So it's a pattern that I do with when I do lighting a lot of times very easily. First, multiply your shadows, then overlay your lighting, and then add for the glow. You see? For the glow. Sorry, I don't know why I'm talking like 5-year-old. Just kidding, I'm not. Anyways, moving on. You can create eye highlights if you want in this particular layer, but you don't have to. You can leave your character as it is. You don't need to mess with their eyes or anything, but it's just one thing that I particularly like to do. Since the eyes are the focal point, I really like to add more detail there, because that's where people are gonna look. They're not gonna look at her arm. Okay, so it's all gonna be okay. Just edit the eyes and you can get away with a lot. That's terrible advice. Anyways, so using the dip pen hard brush, so you can see I just did a giant thing of yellow, but that's not yellow, that's pink. Sorry, I'm colorblind. We are going to just create, you don't need to do this, but I'm a bit dumb, so I just like to create a little ray of shine. See, then I move it over there. Oh my god. And then I duplicate it and I move it around. You don't need to do this exact thing. You could draw it yourself, but I like to do this to make it exact, because I'm a perfectionist. I either completely give up or I give it my all. Anyways, this art is me giving up. I could have done much better, but you already see. Even when I give up, my art is beautiful. Please compliment me. My self-esteem is shattering. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so just making a couple of strands of lights, and then I'm gonna use an airbrush to erase the edges, because when I do that, it does a nice fading effect. Then with an overlay, oh my gosh, it looks like the light is shining onto her and she's about to ascend into the heavens. Anyways, so you can use moving blur or any type of blur if you want to soften the light a little bit, like I wanted to. Look at her, she is absolutely gorgeous. So with my help, your art, your edits, and everything can improve. Okay, thank you so much. Sorry it took me a while to get back into tutorials. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, oh god, I can't believe I said that. Sorry, so YouTuber-y.